if you don't
Hopefully
want to
not.
have fun. Or you
And now the shots are through the wall, not quite hitting, and there's the kill. Cruz falls to Chew.
Ned puts his face in a giant hole to throw a smoke canister. Not how you do that. Every player on the side.
Play it down. He's not going to be able to. It's the frags. Down to the final win.
Some of those operators who can really give you trouble.
Just right to the side of Project Madness. They're now starting to retake all the way up through the mirror window, but there's one on highway. He gets called out.
Mr. Alexander leaves me without words because he's killing people left and right.
Rowdy, and now Chew finds himself left alone, brings it to the 1v1, shuts down that way as well.
Flame Bolt moves forward and it launches the bandit into clear and plain sight line of the Lion. That doesn't matter at all.
Very bad. He finds two. Can he kill both? He can. Butcher's just better. He is activated on the think of gameplay right now. This is why everyone loves Minka. Oh, nice shot from Butcher. He's going crazy at our squad.
Coming through, they didn't actually drone all the way up through and understand what the setup looks like. The library walk-ups are able to do things like just vault the site here, and especially with that sense wall coming out, really stop them.
It could be anywhere you can find the first one on the line for 5 seconds.
Well, everybody, welcome to Xenon Gaming Series Season 3 Grand Finals. I'm joined here with Corbec. My name is Klimpse. Tonight, we got a good matchup, Corbec. We got a matchup between Homeland and Outlast, both the main rosters. Each team are the best two teams in Xenon Gaming Series, and tonight, we're going to find out who will grab that big money prize of $500 for first place. Second place team has netted themselves $200. So each of these teams are already walking away with some nice good old cash money. But Tristan, what are you going to see today? What do you think is going to happen in this good old Grand Finals Best of 5 Bonanza?
Good old Grand Finals Best of 5 Bonanza, man. Put that on a poster. That's a good banner right there. I mean, it's an interesting match, right? It's a bit of a rematch between these two teams. They've played before. Homeland came out of that one on top 2-0. They stomped them on Border. I think it was a little bit closer on Villa 7-5, if I remember the max score correctly. So there's definitely going to need to be some bounce back here on the Outlast side, right? They've battled themselves back into this position. Yeah, they've got the $200, but why wouldn't you want the extra $300 on top of it? So Outlast definitely was something to fight for. I feel here, Klimpse, it's Homeland is just going to try and bury this, right? You want this 3 and done, walk away with your money and call it a night.
Yeah, definitely. Homeland is definitely going to look forward to that. I mean, they have the map advantage in map ban phases. They were the team that went undefeated throughout the entire season. And that's really impressive, honestly, and especially in a league like Xenon to see where there's a lot of good competition and competitors throughout the season. We've seen a lot of these teams just break out of nowhere, and to see these last two teams make it be the final roster standing. And while we talk about that, we're going to get a look at our rosters right about now as we're going to see Outlast Academy first up. That team, or rather, it's Homeland. Corbec, that's all you.
Oh, it is indeed. Thank you very much, Klimpse. Yeah, Homeland, a very strong team. Obviously, we were saying it. They haven't dropped a map this season. Probably one of the strongest teams operating right now. Recently orged up, which has made them very happy. It's given them a boost of confidence as well. Kiru is the top-rated player through the group stage here in Xenon, and no player on their team has a negative rating when it comes to statistics, which is a really impressive thing when you consider, the difficulty that some of the matches they're facing. But they have just been on a stomping spree here, Klimpse, and I don't really see any sign of that slowing down here tonight in Grand Finals. But why don't you tell us about their opponents, the underdogs in this matchup, Outlast?
Well, Outlast, definitely the underdogs, but not a team to not fear if you are Homeland. They did take Homeland to round 12. The only team to do that all season in Xenon is Outlast, and that is their opponent tonight. They had a really, really good, strong game last night. They had a 20-round map. In Xenon, it is infinite overtime, so we could go just as many rounds, if not more. They went 20 rounds last night against the Leviathans in the second map on Skyscraper. So if we do see that tonight, that is definitely something to be concerned about if you are Outlast, because just about every one of your strats were probably exhausted through that map. But this roster is just such a strong lineup. You've seen Angel just pop off on that support role, really just finding his own in this roster, as well as Nightmare had a really amazing and just overall outstanding performance last night. So those are the players that you're really going to watch tonight if you are watching Outlast here. And I think that they're really going to try to take it up to Homeland as the underdogs in this match.
Well, it's certainly going to have their work cut out for them. I think both very strong teams, though. Don't want to downplay Outlast too much. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map bans here, Clips. See where the teams will be playing tonight. And it's kind of a bit of bad news here right off the rip for Outlast. However, Homeland leading us off with Border, which was the map that they beat Outlast 7-2 on last time they played. That's a bit of a rough start there.
Well, with the map ban advantage for Homeland, they were allowed to pick a map first, and Outlast had no choice but to go into that map, and that was Border. Homeland completely decimated Outlast last week on Border, so not a surprise to see them go there. Chalet on the second map, definitely going to be an interesting one to see. I haven't seen Outlast play it too much this season. Homeland, I know, it is a very strong opponent on there. Cafe is another map that I definitely think Homeland really has a strong advantage in, finishing out with Bank and Villa. And one thing I wanted to note, Corbec, before we hop into the match here, is Homeland chose attack on every single map. Homeland will start every map on attack, which allows them to have a strong, if they have a strong attacking half, they'll go into a defensive half already with a little bit of advantage, and that might be something that plays into the back of the minds of the Outlast roster.
We know for a fact, Klimpse, that they are a good attacking team, right? This is not a surprise to anybody. Let's get started here with them on the attack, moving into Border, a map that should allow Homeland to come out and establish themselves very early on in this matchup, get some good attacking wins under the belt, transition over to an easy defensive side, and hopefully put map number 1 behind them in relatively short order. I'm going to be looking for Outlast to come with some sort of different setups here, maybe foil some of that attacking aggression here on the side of Homeland. Just slow them down a little bit, Klimpse. That's what you want to do here in map number 1.
Definitely want to slow down Homeland, and with the Osa going off the board, it's really going to make it difficult to push the east stairs area. I believe Osa was banned as well last week when I was casting them with Phoenix Blaze, and it's going to be, I feel like it's going to play very similar as it did last week. Homeland just was so strong on their defensive side for Border. It was a really odd defensive side of Border. So to see Homeland on the attack this time around get that kind of advantage is going to be unique to see, because I want to see Homeland really break out of their shell, really go as strong as possible. Outlast might have a chance starting on defense here rather than attack last week to be able to string more rounds together and project themselves into the attacking half, which tends to be more attacker sided. But last week we saw a lot of defensive wins from Homeland, so that could change up, maybe shake up the meta potentially.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't seen a ton of Border play, especially at this level, so I don't necessarily know exactly where these bans are fitting in, but I mean, it makes sense, the operators that we're seeing go off the board here. Obviously, Valkyrie, that shouldn't surprise anyone. Mira shouldn't surprise anyone at all. Flores can be a significant nuisance on this Border map as well, so not a bad choice to take him out of contention, especially when you consider the attacking half coming in here is Homeland. Let's see what they offer us in terms of lineups here. Obviously, Armory, Locker, Archives is going to be the first site. Wouldn't expect anything different probably coming out of Outlast, and a relatively solid defensive setup for them. A relatively, I would actually say, defensive heavy in the sense that it's not a setup for roamers, really, what they're showing us on the screen right now.
Definitely not. They want to buy as much time as possible from the attack that's going to come through from Homeland. You have the castle on the board, and that might allow for a little bit of extension on Border, but that's needed. You have to open up these angles. You have to extend out in some manner on this map, because otherwise the attack just has so much pressure onto the defense and really collapses you just to this tiny little bomb site area. And so if you're able to really extend yourselves, extend your footprint across the map as a defense, you're going to have an advantage. I love this 90 shield from Tomato. I've seen pro league teams do this in scrims and in just anything that I've seen them play or watch, and it's really impressive to see this type of defensive setup here. This 90 shield is a big pain in the neck for an attack to deal with, and that's going to be one of the first steps that Homeland has to take care of on the first round here.
You know, it's an interesting defensive setup just because it genuinely relies, you know, on gun skill, or not gun skill, I'm sorry, on util as your main delaying factor here, as opposed to maybe engaging hard. I say that, though, and Hidoi already coming out there swinging for the fences on the run out. Luckily, nobody died on either side, so it will continue. Instead, no, Floofs gets Hidoi early on. He must have gone back out for it, Klimpse. That's a unfortunate start here. I guess it's your mute, so he is theoretically the most expendable member of the squad, but certainly you you would have liked that Nitro Cell back. Losing Nightmares, though, that's no good either. There's your Goyo down.
Well, the curse of the caster is something that bites the Dragon's back. Corbec, a couple of players of Outlast already losing their lives. The aggression just not quite tuning out to what they were expecting it to really land. And Kiru here looking to get really aggressive on this player on the fountain wall. I'm not sure if Angel's quite aware of it. And no, Angel takes a swing but loses their gunfight to Kiru. And Kiru is down for a second kill now, as it's all left down to the smoke player of Tomato. Able to take out one on arrival, so that denies the flawless round. But it's going to be shut down quickly by Snipey with the LMG from the metal stairs. Getting a good refrag onto their sledge player. And overall, just about what we expected, a really strong Homeland first round.
Very brutal Homeland first round, if anything, Klimpse. And honestly, to go back here and look at it, I do question the run out at the very beginning, just because obviously we know that Homelander has the, or Homelander, wrong series. Can't say that too many times or we'll get copyright struck. Obviously, Homeland has the kind of advantage here, right? We would assume that they're the more skilled player base. We said that no player has a negative rating. A bit of a bold decision to try a run out on a team that you know is statistically better than you, right? Like that's an aggressive choice, especially for a defensive lineup that is more contained, right? It's more static in the operators that you're running. It just seems like a bit of poor decision making to me to try and go for that early kill.
Well, what I do love to see is Outlast adjusting what they were doing from last week, Corbec. I know you didn't get quite the opportunity to cast the game with me, but definitely a really, really strong change from Outlast. The tempo and the aggression, a little bit of different strategies as well. I love to see that because Outlast got absolutely steamrolled by the Homeland attack. So to try to just pin them in their spawns a little bit more is a really good decision to at least alleviate some of that early round pressure and such the fast takes that Homeland really tries to take out on the defense. But I don't want to see Outlast die when they die doing some of these aggressive plans. You know, it's not to get a kill necessarily. A kill would be great if you do get that and you get away with your life. Sure, any team is going to take that, but if you're able to just make those attackers rethink and maybe have to walk to the building rather than sprint to it, that's a couple extra seconds that just really alleviates some of the pressure that they might put on to the attack. As Kiru again with the hot-handed gun for Homeland takes down Nightmare, the hot-handed gun for Outlast, and that's unfortunate for Outlast to lose your Goyo that early into the round.
Yeah, it is unfortunate indeed. Nightmare had that big game last night, and I mean, you do have to kind of wonder, right? A 20-round match is kind of insane, right? Like that's a really long time to play Siege, and you do have to wonder a little bit how much that kind of impacts your ability to hop back on the next day and play the game again. Obviously, you know, Klimpse, you've had your rest, right? You've got some time to think it over and get something to eat, shower, sleep, etc. But still a bit rough to jump back into it, and I think we might be seeing a little bit of a manifestation of that. Spudsack trying to pre-fire out the corner right there gets absolutely wiped on the door, and that leaves everything on the back of Hidoy, who is in a rather unenviable position here, pinned in the back corner of Archives, which probably will be where he dies.
Homeland's attacks just look absolutely flawless, but not able to net another flawless round yet. But it's Koyan to take out that last player. A good job by the Ace to get the refrag for the Yana. No flawless round yet, but it's really just looks so strongly sided towards the side of Homeland to make these attacks just look so pretty, just as we expected, Corbec. I mean, the attacks just look amazing, and Outlast just doesn't quite have the right answers yet.
No, they haven't managed to find the answer so far. And I mean, these rounds, this has not even been a matter of like close, right? This has just been a matter of kind of brutal CQC, wipe them out. Nobody's left standing. Take no prisoners mode in full effect here for Homeland so far.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Definitely. It's been quite a good start for Homeland. And Outlast just not quite what you're expecting to start off with. Obviously, Corbec, you were talking the last round about, you know, hopping into a game after playing so much Siege last night, and Homeland's had a full week of rest to really relax, see some of the strategies that Outlast may have brought out in their game last night. Obviously, they played one less game in the playoffs, and so that allows for Homeland to really have a good advantage here for themselves. And Outlast, on the other hand, you know, they've played together more as a team, so guess what? That's more practice. But now more of your strategies, more of your plans, your adaptations have been exposed to Homeland, and now they know everything. They've got the coach of Homeland, Nick Moop, a good buddy of mine. I've played him in the collegiate scene many times as we're both West Coast schools. But he's a good brain, and he's really putting that brain to use for the Homeland roster, and that's exactly what you have seen in these first 2 rounds. Just real clean, aggressive attacks, and Outlast really needs to try to find a quick answer for this.
Yeah, and sort of to tack on to that, right? The idea here too that kind of Outlast isn't playing to its strengths necessarily in terms of the lineup they're running. I mean, they're taking some aggressive peaks here, and I get that there's probably a sense of we have to get kills, right? You have to get kills. You have to slow Homeland down. You've got to get a kill. But you're running a util-based comp that has another flawless round is tracked up here. You're running a util-based comp, Klimpse. I mean, you're meant to wait for them to come to you in this setup. Really, that's at least what it feels like to me looking at it. And Outlast are already requesting a timeout here early on, 3 rounds in, and it has been an unpleasant experience so far for the folks over at Outlast.
I mean, Homeland has just completely dominated and swept through Outlast. It's like they're not even playing against a team, Corbec. It's like they're all playing T-Hunt right now and just warming up for their match. We're on map 1 of Grand Finals, and Outlast just looks like they're asleep at the wheel. Maybe they didn't get a warm-up game in. Maybe they're a little bit tired from last night. Who knows? But right now, they need to talk it out. They need to relax themselves. Angel, the IGL, really needs to bring his team together. And if there's a coach for Outlast sitting in tonight, then they definitely need to get someone on the sticks and really hype up the boys, because it is not looking good right now. Homeland, 3 rounds, 3 early initial picks. They've got the entry frag every single round, and right now only 2 kills to the names of Outlast, 1 in Hodoy and 1 in Tomato. We're both left in 1v5, so that's all they could net. They just need some help from their team to stay alive just a lot longer in these rounds, and Homeland are just continuing to run away at this point.
Yeah, and I also wanted to give a shout out there to Wolfbo. Thank you for your 5T1 subs there in the chat. The Xenon Gaming series, he appreciates your support, of course, in this grand finals match and in all of our matches here. As we go ahead and take a look here going into round 4, we had about a minute for Outlast to discuss some things, Klimpse, maybe settle themselves down, right the ship a little bit. I think that I really do think that the desire to just get kills here for Outlast is probably outweighing a little bit of their strategic sensibility. They've also shifted it up pretty bigly in terms of what they're coming into this point with. If you look, it's gone very heavily towards trap operators. You've got 3 key trap operators here in the lineup. And then maybe, you talk on the Thunderbird and Spudsack there to kind of give you a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of support almost for these traps. That's an interesting setup to me, Klimpse. This is the setup that I go back to with my friends when we're playing like unranked and we're getting kicked in the shin over and over again. Yeah, just like traps, like make them work for it.
But you know what? It's good to see Outlast adapting, right? They're not doing the same old. They're not, rinse, repeat, right? It's not like they got, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Where they're not doing the same thing over and over again. They're doing different things. It's still not quite working, but if they do find that right thing, it might just allow them to get a couple rounds. Remember, Border is an attacker-sided map. It does favor the attack usually, so that might be something we see as Angel finally kicking off the first entry kill for Outlast in this series. 3 rounds in, finally on the 4th round, Outlast able to get that initial frag, which is great for them.
Snipe here trying to play through the hole with the LMG, won't quite find it. Nightmare did take a not insignificant chunk of damage right there and had to fall back. In comes the first frag grenade that'll force him out. Snipey and Floose both picking up kills rapidly here as the LMG switches back across. Angel taking some damage, and well, they've managed to at least hold it at a 4-3. It's not going quite as fast as some of the other beatdowns they've experienced so far on this map, as Tomato opens up yet another wall hole to try and create a little bit of a different angle. They maybe can pick off Snipey as they come around.
2 players on Outlast have had quite a slow start. Nightmare and Spudsack both on that side of the door, but rather Hodoy, Angel, and Tomato have all at least found a frag on the board. So these are the players you want up in this scenario. It is a 3v4. There is no advantage for them, but as Homeland begins to start working this vertical pressure and forcing these roamers out back to the bomb site, it's really going to start to condense Outlast and just make it so tough to defend. And Outlast needs to find a way to try to alleviate some of the pressure, potentially by ordering for a retake to go back up to the upstairs, or just try to fight out some of these attackers and get some of these angles here on the vertical pressure.
We'll say it's an unfortunate loss here, Klimpse, that Nightmare went down so early because you do lose those kind of stacking goo mines over time. And when you start to get down to these late round scenarios, those goos get infinitely more valuable because of their ability to slow the pace down. But just Hidoi and Angel left here. Angel trying to come in on the top deck. Rival was prone, waiting, absolutely waste. Angel sends him right back to heaven. Now it's all down on the back of Hidoi here on the Captain. Swings out, gets a kill on Cohen, who's just walking across, but Floof is there to make sure that he can't go any farther.
Oh, it's the most kills that Outlast has found in a round. That's 2 at least for them. So, you know, subtle improvements are coming through Corbec, but not quite what we want to see. At Homeland obviously did have the advantage in taking this map. I'm sure it's a map that Outlast would have loved to have banned, but they had no choice. They were forced to go here. But you know what, to at least play it, get a little bit of a warm-up, that's probably what Outlast is expecting here. They probably weren't expecting to do anything too crazy on this map. I think they were expecting to lose this one, and they're trying to pick it up on those next couple. So hopefully Outlast is going to be able to take advantage of that scenario at least, and they know that, hey, this isn't the map that we were going to be good at. So let's just get a little bit of a warm-up. Let's figure out what they're kind of doing to us, and let's really hit them hard on map 2, 3, 4, and 5.
You know, it's a great point that you make right there, Klimpse, and I think it's something that people sometimes forget, or maybe the casual viewer doesn't think about. We assume that every team is going into this with the idea that victory is inevitable on every map, but a lot of the time teams are like, yeah, border is just bad for us. We assume that we are going to lose this. If we win it, hey, great, but likelihood not very high. And I think you're probably right to a certain extent. Outlast has probably assumed, probably before this map even started, let's be honest, that this is not a particularly good map for them, and they're probably not going to win this one out. So yeah, it becomes a matter of maybe, you know, warming up, learning your opponent's attack patterns, picking up on things that you didn't notice the first time around, so you can bring that sort of institutional knowledge across to the next map and put it forward. But going in now on round number 5, you'll see a bit of a change in the defensive lineup yet again. At least one trap maker still making an appearance. It'll be Spudsack there coming in. Again, I don't know if I particularly think this is it's going to be a great show. And once more, Hidoi is trying for an early pick here, and they are already wise to this, mate.
Oh, Hidoi does get the kill, though, on a snipey. Knocks down the Finka. Traded their life very quickly. His rival, I believe, was able to get that frag. But at least the Finka is off the board. There's no adrenal surges. That LMG that is so annoying and irritating to deal with is no longer a factor in this round, at least. And that could be a good little advantage for Outlast's Nightmare now. Their gun barrel starts to heat up, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're Outlast. They've been such a hot-handed player. They've been playing like lights out this last week. So if Nightmare can really keep that energy up for Outlast as they finally have an advantage going into this round here, it might just be what they need to propel themselves to their first round win of Border.
It's all coming together now. Spudsack there picking up one with the Uzi. Spudsack finds another. That's Floos who's down. Now everything on the back of Kiru here, and that's a rough round finally for Homeland. Long overdue in the coming, but it does look like Outlast has managed to get themselves on a level. Now, of course, I'm not going to deny the possibility that Kira with the LMGE it can take down all 4 of them in a John Wick-style gunfight here through Border, but I'm thinking it's unlikely, especially with only about a quarter of their health left, and it's a quarter if we're being generous. The drop coming through right there, that was immediately heard. The bullets flying in through the wall. Kira tries to challenge. Brief fires. 43 rounds of the magazine. It's not enough. Angel coming from the other side cleans it up, and finally, Outlast is on the board.
Well-established crossfire allows for Outlast to take their first round, and good for them to at least find some sort of footprint onto this map. They finally made their name, staked their claim, and whatever they changed that round, Corbec allowed them to win. I really think that that spawn peak actually helped a little bit. I think that taking out that Finka, that spearhead entry player of Snipey, was a good start to the round, so good on Hidoi for getting that initial entry kill. After that, it really just came up to the remaining players of Outlast to pick it up, get those kills. Spudsack, I believe, had a couple on the Thorn with that Uzi 50 cal. And that's exactly what you want to see if you are a fan of Outlast. You want to see them get a little bit different, really throw Homeland off their game, because Homeland has a pretty damn good game on Border. And if you can throw them off of that, Corbec, then you might be able to alleviate a couple rounds here.
Yeah, I was wondering too if that, early spawn kill was sort of the difference maker there. I was definitely trying to think about it, right? The little gray cell's not working perhaps as fast as they should have in that scenario to come up with a good reason for why all of a sudden Outlast saw some success. But I think the harsh truth about that kill on the Finka at the start was that was luck, I think, more than anything else. That was not a guaranteed trade. I don't think that's the kind of play that you can consistently repeat. And again, I just think that going for those spawn peaks is such a dangerous policy, but they're going to keep doing it by the looks of it, because Hidoi appears to be setting up for exactly that. Maybe they're just going to go ahead and throw one of those alibis out there and just kind of make life kind of annoying, but a dangerous choice. A Monte on deck here for the attackers, by the way. Shouldn't overlook it. Showing us a little bit of a rush here straight towards the archives.
I smell a quick archives plant, and that's exactly what you see as Cohen starts to get that bomb down, and there's great coverage from Homeland, and that allows for this diffuser to go down. I mean, 30 seconds into the attack phase, and the bomb has already been planted, and now it's just going to be a complete mess of a time for Outlast to try to get this retake off. A couple kills exchanged between both teams, but with only 30 seconds left in the round and plenty of aggression coming through. Again, another trade of players goes through, so it's really looking good for Homeland to net their 5th attacking round here, unless Outlast can make some sort of crazy play happen. Tomato does take down Rival. The player on the archives window does fall, but Snipey on this upside down rappel angle is just gonna go huge and get 2 big kills there for free. Tomato not sure where that Finka may be hanging out, does try to hop out, is not able to find that player, but the Montaigne on the floor. Floofs, who was able to block off his teammates so they could plant, ends up netting the final frag of the round, and Homeland with a very aggressive entry plant, and Outlast with no answer.
That's just a statement round right there. That's Homeland saying, hey, like, you can flex, we can flex too. Watch this. If you want to try something different, we'll show you different. It comes in on the Montaigne rush and just slams the plan down. I mean, admittedly, very well executed, and an unfortunate run right there for Outlast. I'm not sure where their mute player was with the Nitro Cell. Wasn't able to get it in and over. The smoke grenade also it's just way too late deploying the Toxic Babe there to really spoil that. A little bit of a, I don't know what I would call it, a sluggish response, let's say. I would expect them, to be there faster, to key up on that. But again, they don't have the necessarily advantage of seeing what was in the offing right there. Now the sides have swapped over. Round number 7 here. Homeland taking over the defense with a commanding 5-1 lead. Klimpse, despite that rally, that 1-round rally for Outlast, I think I can safely say that this one's probably been put to bed.
Pretty chalked up here, Corbec. I mean, there's just not a lot to do. Outlast just completely decimated that round, and that's really just a mental breaker, especially after winning your first round of the map. To lose a round so harshly like that is almost just really upsetting. I mean, you gotta just, like, you're on such a high. You're like, yes, guys, we got a round, and then you get completely shot to death. I mean, that's one of the fastest plants I've ever seen in competitive Siege, like, in history. I mean, someone get a timer on that, because that could have been that might be a world record attempt right there, for at least for the likes of the competitive scene in Rainbow Six Siege. And well done to Homeland for having that strategy really put to play well, and no response from Outlast allowed for that diffuser to go down, and that's exactly what Homeland's plan was. As Outlast on their attack, initially the Finka making their way into the passport area, and it seems like Outlast wants to go for a very direct clear rather than a vertical take.
Yeah, it does appear that they're going for a more direct method here, coming across horizontally. That's a dangerous game to play, right? Depending on what the setup is like on the top floors. Cohen there getting taken down early on. Tomato here pushing up towards Armory. Does have that LMGE in hand, but it's Nightmare who gets the first LMG kill right there. Snipey taken down. 2 bodies down as well on the side of the defenders.
Well, it looked like the mute was nearly spotted out, but not quite. Tomato just flicking past that defender at the wrong time, and this mute could be deadly, could be extremely dangerous. Cohen has been limited down to just a sliver of HP and does get shot down. Tomato does not know about the alibi. Prony behind the desk, and Rival is on for 2 kills now. Could completely dismantle this Outlast attack. Should they not find another kill? It's the 3rd for Rival, as they've completely shut down the advantage that Outlast had, and all of a sudden Homeland is bringing this back bit by bit, piece by piece, player by player, and Kiru and Rival, the last two players alive for Homeland, trying to defend out border here. Kiru are gonna tag up Nightmare to just a sliver of HP, but not able to do yet enough damage to knock that player down on Outlast. A rotation being forced out as the attack has to go all the way around the building, and Hadoy has found themselves in sight. It's a complete mess for Outlast because they're not entirely quite sure what they want to do with the control that they have now lost. The diffuser all alone on its own in Workshop, but I'm not sure if the defenders of Homeland have figured out this information quite yet.
You must have some idea.
Oh, no.
That's rough there. Hadoy taken down, and that really was the saving grace. Hadoy was the only one who was in a position to actually make this work, just given how low Nightmare's health is. Now, again, Nightmare's a gunner, but a gunner who's in a position where a stiff gust of wind would probably send them to the grave. They try and creep down that staircase, and of course, the SMG-11 is waiting. And I'm curious, you think that's a fate right there, right? We see that it's a good start for Outlast. They're closing in on the point. They're getting kills. Everything's building up. Suddenly, the MX Storm starts chattering. Members of Outlast are dying. Is that a failure on the intel side? What do you make of that?
Definitely an intel failure. I mean, it's hard to get all the intel in the workshop room when you've got like 3 people shooting down there. There's also the mute jammers around the map, which also could have been a little bit of a problem. But the fact that the alibi was allowed to probe behind the desk and no info and then no response, it didn't seem like the Hibana knew exactly where that alibi was at the very end there. A little bit of a communication issue potentially on the side of Outlast allowed for that play to really come of Rival. And Rival, just being the better player and hitting really good shots, allowed for Homeland to somehow come out of that round. A miracle, because Outlast had completely cleaned out the defensive players, and all of a sudden a complete rehire coming through from Rival allows for Homeland to take their 6th round. Corbec and Outlast now on match point. There's really not much else they can do.
Yeah, I mean, again, it felt a little bit like an opportunity squandered on that last round, but realistically, I mean, turning this into a 5-2 in the grand scheme of things wouldn't necessarily have flipped this around. So it's a bit rough, but let's see if they can maybe at least pull another one out here for Pride, I guess, on the attack still, given the general advantage that is conveyed to defenders. I don't necessarily know that they're going to break it in. And, you know, obviously Homeland has a plan. They know what they're doing. I think most of their deaths on that last match were due to a little bit of overconfidence. And already round 6 starting pretty rough for Outlast, as Kiru popping out and getting the kill there early on onto the Zofia. There goes the LMG and the entry. Tack Nightmare onto that too. The Nook is down. Angel able to recover just a little bit, takes Snipey out of the equation. So at least they're able to put it on a 4-3.
Homeland is just reaching so deep into the wallet and pulling out some crazy angles and plays, but guess who's reaching deeper? It's Angel on for 3 of the round. The hard support starting to really wake up for Outlast, and that's exactly what they need. I mean, this map has pretty much been shut down all the way, but if you can get a couple morale rounds and just really start to get those guns start to warm up and start to instill a little bit of fear into Homeland, that might just be what you need when you go on to Chalet, which is map number 2 in the series. A couple drones do come out, and they now, Outlast has the information on the pulse. They don't want to miss drone anyone else. That's exactly what you see, is 2 drones right next to each other dancing around and starting to scare some of these players away. Angel opens up the castle barricade and tries to make an entry, but Floof still is alive and getting as much information as possible for him and his teammate.
Floof brings forth the UMP 45, a long-range gunfight down the hallway there, but the SMG not able to connect. Angel blowing holes in the wall here with those X-Kairos pellets, just looking through, trying to get a kill onto Floof, who continues to fall back here, skirmishing their way across the map. But here comes Cohen. Oh, and he'll peek towards his teammate, but he won't quite push. Instead, they'll sort of split the difference here. Both of them going opposite ways, left and right, both sides covered, looking for some sort of opening. But again, none of the members of Outlast are really showing that aggression that they showed earlier. Cohen now stepping up and taking the long-range gunfight with the SMG-11, not able to confirm the kill either. And there goes Angel, walks right into the waiting gun barrel of Floof.
The repositioning of the defenders is incredible. I mean, they're just swapping all over the map, and Floof now with the C4 kill takes down Hadoy, and it's all left to Spunsack, who does hit a really good shot onto that player prone behind the desk, but now it's the pulse of Floofs who can find all the intel they want. They can know exactly where Spudsack will be hiding should they elect to pull out the Heartbleed sensor, but instead they're going to elect to go off of sound and intel and just wait for this player to walk on through. The blue camp finally getting shot by Spudsack, but that is not what you want if you are Spudsack, because now Homeland knows exactly where you're coming from. Floofs might have their head turned around the wrong way, though, unless they heard something. But no, Spudsack loses the fight, and Floofs takes out the first map for Homeland. Border going 7-1 this time in the favor of Homeland. They are still dominant here. They're still looking to push themselves all the way through, but map 2 will be Chalet, which is Outlast pick, so expect maybe a little bit better of a fight and a little bit more action there. But other than that, Corbec, a really dominant showing and performance overall from Homeland, and I'm not entirely surprised, to be honest.
No, neither am I. It was a rough map. Again, I think I have to operate on the assumption that Outlast was presuming that they were going to lose this one here. So given that assumption, I think that we're in a little bit better of a category in terms of maybe looking forward to the next map, the Chalet. Still rough for Outlast, though. No doubt about it.
Very dominant map for Homeland. But with that, just a little bit of a break will come through. Don't be afraid to stick around. Just hang out with us here for Xenon Gaming Series. We'll be right back with map 2 Chalet.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Xenon Gaming Series Grand Finals. I'm Corbec, alongside me in Klimpse, and for your enjoyment tonight, our digital gladiators, Homeland versus Outlast. And Homeland, well, they had the best of it to start here, absolutely beating down their opponents, Outlast on border. Klimpse, it was a slaughter.
Yeah, it was more like David versus Goliath right there. I mean, to watch Homeland just completely obliterate Outlast. Outlast is David right now, and they need to figure it out because they are struggling bit by bit. Angel did start to heat up that last round, and the guns of Outlast did finally start to fire up a little bit. So maybe it was maybe it was exactly what we were kind of thinking. Obviously, border was picked by Homeland. Outlast didn't even have the opportunity to ban it since Homelast. Wow. Homeland had the map advantage coming into this game as they had won undefeated all the way through the upper bracket. Outlast coming out of the lower bracket did yield advantage to Homeland. So that allowed for Homeland to really pick whatever the map they wanted. They beat Outlast on border last week 7-2. This week, making it one better 7-1. So not going to Chalet, definitely going to be a completely different result, I think. And I think a much, much better matchup between both these teams.
Here's an interesting note about Chalet, though, in regards to Homeland. They banned this map in their semifinal match and their final match up in the upper bracket. They've only played it once so far in the playoffs, and they went 7-4, which I mean is a win, but I think a little bit rough for them considering that was back in the quarterfinals. Ever since, they've made a point of banning this Chalet map. They didn't do it today, and so I think it's a wise choice by Outcast to take them here, Klimpse. And I'm curious to see if Outlast has some sort of plan for this, if they think there's a potential weak spot in the armor of Homeland that they can exploit up here in the Alps.
Yeah, this may be a map that Homeland hasn't seen very much of Outlast. I mean, you don't know, obviously, with how much Outlast does ban Chalet, to see them pull it out. I mean, it's grand finals, so there's nothing after this. It's win or go home. I mean, both these teams are going home, but it's win or win, really. So you want to win $500 or you want to win $200? It's a big $300 difference. That's a good little payday right there. You know, it could be $100 a person, or it could be, 30. So what do you want? I would take 500. I'd take $100 a person. That sounds like a much better payday. And Outlast is trying to pull back their maps one by one. Obviously, giving that advantage to Homeland. Homeland had the advantage all the way through the map ban phase, even getting to elect to choose the final maps. But this is Outlast pick, so I'm curious to see what we might end up finding here on this map. Chalet, definitely going to be a good one. Outlast does start on defense, though, usually a little bit more of the weak side.
What an interesting choice they have made for their first defensive site. They are taking the master bedroom office as the opening move here, and that is a site that, I mean, you maybe can lend better insight to this than I can, Klimpse, but as far as I understand it, this is a not super popular site on this map. It's not one that a lot of people like. It's not one that a lot of people feel is particularly good. So leading off with that in the rotation is an interesting choice indeed.
Definitely not the most preferred bomb site, especially in competitive siege, maybe in ranked if you're enjoying ranked in that, plat diamond area. Yeah, you see master bedroom all the time, so you better know how to attack it. But these teams in competitive, I'm curious to see what we're going to see from the attack. It seems like a solar-based take is Homeland is setting up to jump into the trophy room here, but Kiru gets taken out early by Spudsack on that initial entry downstairs in the dining room or basement area, actually. Floof's able to get a refrag onto Hidoy, but the damage has been done, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're Outlast, to at least start to slow down this aggressive attack from Homeland.
Spudsack took a lot of damage there, too, in that initial rush. That is just difficult spot to be in there. If you are that Jaeger, obviously you're more expendable, but in terms of the basement, I mean, it's been cleared. You've had to give it up. You can't really contest down there anymore, so the ability to start pushing upwards grows. Snipey here jumping in kind of into the lobby, pushing over towards dining room. Does have at least one member of the enemy team here. I think they saw the bullets fly. Ooh, Snipey kind of messes that one up a little bit. Flicks to the left, flicks to the right, can't quite find the kill. Does get it eventually, but the indomitable Spudsack there to follow up and keep it at even 3-3.
Budstack might be on low HP, but able to get 2 kills for their team. Really good job by them so far, and that's exactly what you want to see if they're Outlast. Obviously, you want to see them really heat up. Tomato here nearly getting naded, but the nade just falls a little bit to his right, and that is really devastating for Homeland because that could have been such a good advantage to knock down those gas grenades completely out of the lobby. Instead, Tomato's life still going to be up and about, and now Tomato forced to reposition yet again as that wall begins to get open and the solar take really starts to take effect here.
Tomato is in a good position, though, where they can contest that solar wall for a little bit here. They've got the toxic canister. You see them already going out. Floose just pushing in hard here. Cleans up 1 kill. Goes for the other. Wow! They just eviscerate this defense in the late game.
Floose walked all the way up through bathroom. No one on Outlast wanted to do anything about it. And Floose said, it's my time to take a bath. It's my time in the shower. And completely took down the rest of the Outlast defense. Good job on the support from Rival, able to knock down one of those defenders as well. And a great entry by Floose at the very end of the round there allows for Homeland to pick up their first attack here on Chalet.
That's why you don't hog the bathroom. Some angry Korean woman's gonna kick it down with an SMG in hand. Just take care of business right there. Terrifying thought. Really well played there by Homeland. I mean, it looked for a second there, and I think I said it myself, it looked like for a second like they were in a relatively good stalling position vis-a-vis coming in through that solar wall, and then just immediately the flank comes in. Nothing stops it. It's a cakewalk through on that right-hand side, and there was just nothing really that, I mean, the smoke could do about that. You kind of just have to let that one ride. So not the greatest start ever here. Stage number 1, or map number 1, let's say. Match number 1, good God. Not the best start for them right now, but again, at least it felt much closer than a lot of those border ones had, Klimpse, and I think that's the big takeaway right there. There was a fighting chance up until the bitter end.
Definitely, it definitely was a lot closer. More time was stalled, more time delayed. It seems like Outlast is much more comfortable on this map, but something that might not be too comfortable is this initial fight that's going to happen right now. A drone comes through, but the scope is blocking it for the defender, and that allows for Kiryu to swing onto the Jaeger, and the only player to net any kills last round has now been taken off the board for Outlast, and it's already putting them back in a hole.
Yeah, it is indeed putting them right back in the hole. Spudsack, though, I mean, he was the initial point of contact last time. Unfortunately, Kiro there giving the old Viking crew cut to Angel, and that's a 5-3 setup now as Kiro continues to push forward. And perhaps the master bedroom office side is now really starting to betray the defenders here. Nightmare got multiple targets on the screen, will get Kiro, can't get Floose as well. And that leaves everything on the back of the brave Tomato here, who is doing his best not to be turned into tomato paste, but the can spares no one.
It's incredible just the way that the Sludge just waited. Instead of jumping in the window, being so aggressive, just good discipline from Homeland. And that, I think, is what strikes me about their team, about how good they really are, Corbec, is the discipline that Homeland has. Instead of just flying through windows in a 4v1, instead of, trying to go get that last kill, it's about winning the round. It's not about getting those kills. It's not about padding the stats. It's about simply winning the round. And I love that about Homeland. I love watching this team compete because you see discipline like that. An amazing droning refrag play. I mean, Floose is 5-0, just swinging off their teammates that die. It's amazing to see that from Homeland, and Outlast right now is just not as coordinated as Homeland is. Homeland's coordination is really carrying him through here. I think Kiryu has been so dominant on some of these entry picks, and now it's really starting to show how much Outlast are struggling. They elect to go downstairs, just a floor below where they were defending previously, instead of the master bedrooms. Obviously, that was not quite working itself out, and now Outlast finding themselves on the back foot, elect to drop down just a level, and that might allow for them to have to force Homeland to change up how they want to attack this site, since it was so direct into dining kitchen. Now that is the bomb site, so there's going to be more emphasis on the top floor, which allows for Outlast to play this map maybe a little bit more how they wanted to.
That's a fair point indeed, and I mean, I think when you lose 2 in a row, right, you're well due for a change in sight, and Spudsack again trying to challenge early here. I just do not understand the logic. I mean, again, it betrays them.
Wow.
This is a consistent aspect of Outlast defense, and I have mentioned it multiple times, and I'm so sorry for the viewers for me bringing it up again, but it's really starting to upset me because it's just not working. You are losing your entry fights like 9 times out of 10. Why do they keep going back to this well?
I like the idea behind it. I like the aggression. I like making Outlast double check everything, think twice about stuff. But when you die and you don't even get a kill for yourself, that's where I have a problem with it, Corbec, because sometimes spawn peeking isn't about getting the kills. I said this last map on Border. I said, you know, it's not about getting the kills always. Sometimes it's just distracting those attackers enough to where they gotta double check. Maybe they have to slow down their roll when they're running to the building. But that's not what Outlast is doing. That's not the philosophy. That's not the theory that they are taking and sniping, nearly hitting a crazy shot. But instead, it's Kiru and Rival to pick it up. And now Cohen goes and gets one of their own, and it's all left to the hard support player of Angel. Downstairs does knock down Floofs, who did lose a little bit of the discipline I was talking about in the last round I was praising Homeland for, but Angel is on for a second, not quite able to clean up that third player. Rival, just so many bodies for Homeland, knocks down the third player of Outlast, and that's the third round for Outlast, and another tactical timeout on round 4 for Outlast.
This is the exact same position where they took a tactical timeout, by the way, on Border last map. It was 3 rounds in. They'd all been relatively punishing rounds, and Outlast chose to take some time. That timeout didn't really change the weather for showing, Klimpse, and I don't know that this one is going to either. I think that really Homeland is showing an impeccable amount of skill right here. The coordination, the gun skill, the coverage, the trades even. The trades have been so solid on this Homeland side that it seems like every time one of the members of Outlast does actually manage to send one of these Homelanders to the great beyond, there's another one who's waiting on the other side to clean up the kill. You saw it in the window upstairs. Spudsack pops out, actually gets that sort of mystical ambush kill that they've been looking for, immediately shot down, and they get the res and they keep on going. I do not know what Outlast needs to do to fix this.
I said in our break, Corbec, that Homeland just has so much information. You know, I've played against every single rank of team, T1, T2, T3, T4, right? I've played against all of those teams, and Homeland has some of the best information I've ever seen. I mean, the drone work is amazing. Cohen really on that hard support just gets so much information, and it's so refreshing to see a team maybe in these lower leagues, right, just make their way up just through their information game. And if these players continue to play just like they are, lights out, they're going to be winning some of the biggest leagues and find themselves into Challenger League and potentially even Pro League, because they have just so much information and they just look so much stronger. You know, it's like almost playing against a T2 team or a T1 team even that has that much information about you. They push so fast. They know exactly what they want to get done. They know exactly what to do with you. And the IGLing from Homeland is just something out of this world that we don't see in the T4, T3 scene.
To tack onto that, and at the risk of turning this into a podcast, I mean, I do think that this is not a unique problem for Outlast, right? This is not Outlast specific. I think that you put quite a few teams at this level in the position that Outlast is in right now, up against this Homeland squad, you know, gunning for $500, and they'd all be getting, you know, punched, right? They'd all be getting beat up. Maybe around here, around there, but we're definitely seeing a team that's playing on, you know, on top of its game. Does that mean that they're flawless? I mean, no, they're not flawless. They've made some mistakes, right? They've lost some team members. We've seen, I think, things that could be construed as a little bit of overconfidence has gotten to them at times, especially on Border. I think they were a little bit lackadaisical about how they wanted to check corners and just sort of moving through, but it's never been enough to really deal them a crippling blow. And even here on the initial engagement, Kiru will escape with their life intact, as will Nightmare. And again, the situation becoming increasingly difficult here for Outlast. The drone game already pushing them forward. They just have to break this corridor hold.
Dropping Kiru down that much HP does not matter, because guess who's got those adrenal surges? It's the Finka of Snipey. They're able to heal their teammate back up, and Nightmare really lost that engagement because now they've lost all that HP. Snipey does take a lot of damage, potentially from a C4 or just some stray bullets, and gunfire coming through, and I've not seen a surge used just yet, as there it goes. It pops off, and it brings health back to all of the attackers, and some boost to some of those players. I mean, Finka, such a strong and staple operator in competitive Siege right now. It's like you're crazy if you don't bring her. I mean, she's so strong that LMG does so much damage and completely thrashes the defenders' heads. It's finally Homeland begins to start working on this upper blue shield. They do just so beautifully. Great demonstration of util clear in team play as now Homeland tries to find their way into the blue hallway.
Yeah, definitely missing the Wamai right here now, or Outlast. Remember, that was their choice of a ban, knowing that they would inevitably have to defend that upper corridor where Wamai really makes some bread. Good effort, though, to try and bring this one back in. But again, the trades, so efficient. Snipey just absolutely cleaning up with that LMG. Annihilating those Nightmare right there, hanging together. Rival, however, taking Tomato down, and oh, Nightmare half peeks around the doorway, and the gun is waiting for them.
Throw it in the montage, Snipey. I mean, just a complete 3K cleanup of the entire Outlast defense upstairs. Sure, it was initialized by the warden of Outlast, but guess what? Snipey does not care. I told you that the LMG of Finka is just so pressing, and that's exactly what happens when you don't take that operator out early. You see that LMG really start to sing and go burr, and let me tell you, it just completely dismantled the Outlast defense. Every player that swung just swung into a flurry of bullets. It's like a war. It's like it's like the Civil War, right? Where you see the different sides lined up, right? And they're all shooting muskets at each other and trying to hit each other. But instead, it's just one man. Snipey is one man, and Outlast is an entire army, and Snipey is completely dismantling them. It's incredible what you can do when you put such a strongly mechanically skilled player on that operator.
Yeah. Volley fire with spice. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at right there. And it's just a really good heads-up play by Snipey as well. The read, the trades, everything going very, very well right there for Homeland. Now on to round number 5. Running out of defensive rounds is Outlast. I feel bad. I feel bad. This is one of those situations in which I don't think I have the capacity as a caster. I don't have the siege brain to be like, well, here's your silver bullet, Outlast. If only you were doing this, you know, everything would go well. And perhaps the harsh reality is there isn't a silver bullet. That said, very good early kill here by Hidoy on that warden again, crouched behind the shield near the library stairs, making life difficult. And yet again, we will see the onus here on Homeland to go ahead and break that bit of util in that hallway. Though certainly last time Klimpse, they did not struggle with it at all.
Sure, you've knocked down the entry player of Guru, but guess who's still on the board? It's Snipey, who completely dismantled the defense, and Rival was the one that cleaned it up. And so those two players are still on the board, so it's definitely not going to be an Outlast round by any means. Instead, Outlast has elected to forfeit all of the map control of the entire solar, office, master bedroom sides, and bomb sites to Homeland, and that allows for Homeland to really clear out some of this utility so early. Hidoy brought down to just a sliver of HP, and any of those fragments of that grenade touches that warden, they will fall down to the ground. No T-Bird, no Doc on the side of Outlast to heal Hidoy back up, so they will remain at just a sliver of HP for the rest of the round.
I mean, part of the harsh truth of this is without the Wamai in the lineup, they do not have enough util denial on the side of Outlast to handle the amount of frag grenades that are being thrown. Like, they just don't have it. 6 frag grenades in the Homeland lineup. You only have 3 ADSs. That's it. That's the entire extent of your util denial. You can't slow this roll. They can't be everywhere. You do still have guns, though, and a great kill coming up there from Nightmare as the pressure starts to come in. Spudsack getting the kill on the cleanup for Cohen. And look at this! Now this is a fight. The pistol coming out here from Rival, but Angel was waiting, MP5K in hand, and goes ahead and gets the finish. And finally, Homeland giving up a round.
The Mute hanging out in the library, able to clean up the last player. The librarian says, shush! Be quiet. Outlast, it's your time to get your round. String them together. Pull them back, and that's exactly what you want to see. I love just the discipline by Outlast this time around, you know, waiting for Homeland to walk into them. They got the frags they needed. They swung at the right time, and that's exactly what you want to see. It's the same storyline as Border Corbec, because Homeland won 4 rounds in a row. Outlast took their time out on right before the beginning of round 4. Outlast's first round win was round 5. Now, if Homeland wins again, I swear we're just in deja vu on another map entirely, and maybe Homeland just is that good of a team because that's what they look like right now. But we are seeing almost the same. If we see a Rush play it and like just the fastest play it in the world, part 2, going down here in the dining room, I'll be surprised. Like, it'll be insane. And one operator I want to talk about that we haven't really talked too much about, and someone that I really like to emphasize when they are on the board, is Thatcher. Thatcher's on the board, and I think that I love the use that Homeland has been using of the Thatcher. I mean, those EMP grenades are so good to just make it easy to clear out some of that utility. The Cave Claws really become ineffective when they're on the board, and you just got to toss a little EMP, and now all of a sudden you've got the wall open up just as you want. As you see Hadoy to create a nice little defensive setup here, using that Kiba barrier to maybe add some extra fortification so that you can peek onto the hallway. I like that implementation and those ideas that are being brought through by Outlast. They just got to really start executing on them to make them work efficiently.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been true of a lot of what we've seen from Outlast here tonight. Their setups are not bad. Like, the inherent ideas behind their defenses are not bad. The only one I question is not having Wamai. But in general, they've been doing the right things when it comes to actually prepping. It's just the execution has not been good. They've been a little too aggressive. They haven't really been playing to the strengths of their defensive setups. I say that, though. We're off to a good start here because Thatcher gets killed first. That's a big kill. Cure getting taken down early as well. Again, 2 big valuable players taken out. The frag rate from below does not finish Hadoy off. So you've still got 5 guns up here on the side of Outlast, and this is the kind of round that Outlast wants and needs here, Klimpse.
Definitely, they're changing the story, they're changing the narrative, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're a fan of Outlast. Nightmare here taking some really aggressive fights here on some of these players on the mezzanine now, as the Finkas made their way all the way up to that balcony door. Rival trying to get aggressive and try to find one of these players defending in the piano, but instead it's actually Snipey and Rival who come out on top, but Nightmare able to land the shots onto Snipey, takes down the Finka, and now Rival and Cohen, who have just been brought down to a little bit of HP, would just only need a couple bullets to knock them out of this lobby. A C4 could come below from Angel if the information of the Yokai drones do come through. Maybe a little bit of damage to the Rival, but not too much of that C4, and overall a poor usage of utility. The Tomato does still have many gas grenades in pocket. That's exactly what you need as a defender to knock down these Homeland players down to their grave. But will Outlast come out on top? Just a couple bullets through the floor, but no, Rival ends up actually taking that fight and winning it. Angel losing their life, and it's all left down to Nightmare and Tomato to defend this round out.
They are the 2 anchors of this lineup. The hole open to the floor right there. Unfortunately, Cohen couldn't follow it up fast enough to secure the kill. A relatively even-sided match between these 2. If anything, a little bit of advantage perhaps on the side of Nightmare here, who is such a talented player. This first smoke canister going out right there from Tomato, just trying to shut down the stairs coming out, and now the close hold with the shotgun. Still a little bit vulnerable above, but Tomato's playing it very cautiously, reversing the position. Another smoke grenade coming out here as Tomato falls back yet again. He's on the other side of the wall. Tomato's looking up when he should be looking down. There's the shotgun and the Mossberg save. He couldn't have asked for anything better. Now Rival comes sailing in, and it's a time win here. Outlast takes a 2nd round.
Outlast changes the narrative, just as I was saying earlier. Corbec did great defense by them. The last 2 players just holding the ground as best as they could. Obviously, Cohen went, or I believe, yes. Wait, no, Nightmare. The Echo went and hid away and allowed for Tomato to just take their time and take some of those fights. And that was a good job by the smoke player. I mean, nearly losing your life, but great repositioning, and just, I think, a little bit of timing, honestly, really helped them to win that round. The smoke was dancing around those holes, and the Thermite nearly finding the kill, but just not quite able to do so. Cohen was not able to find that angle through the floor. Did make it past maybe a little bit further than the smoke was expecting, but did not win out their gunfight. Obviously, that Mossberg, such a strong weapon, and especially when you're brought down to just a little bit of HP, it's really not too hard to knock you down. Also, when you got about 5 seconds left in the round, it's really not too easy to win that. As well as the gas grenades really became a major factor in the Sledge not being able to push with the Thermite and get any sort of refrag, and that is exactly what dismantled that Homeland attack.
Oh, very much. You know, credit where credit is due. It wasn't necessarily a flashy round from Tomato, and yeah, they kind of got caught looking in the wrong place. But in terms of what you want from your smoke player, what you expect from your smoke player in a difficult situation, you can't ask for much better than that. Repositioning, using the grenades to deny time, deny key routes, and being on the ball, ready to get into the gunfight if needed. It was very well played, but defensive sides have swapped. We're 15 seconds into round number 7, and now it is Outlast turn to pick up the attacking mantle here. The overall score line 4-2. Snipey awaiting the entry of his opponents in the library. Has the tiniest of pixels to peek through right there, but the shots on the carbine don't quite find their way past the window as Tomato tries to contest with the LMGE. Nightmare getting a lot more aggressive with their LMGE on another window. Interesting to note here, Klimpse, there's a gridlock in the lineup here for the Outlast side, an operator that we don't see an awful lot of.
Well, there's a lot of LMGs on the board. Outlast elected to bring out the gridlock, and I like this usage. I'm kind of shocked to not see like a 0 on the board, because 0 is such a strong operator, especially for a map like Chalet. And against a team that likes to get aggressive, Homeland, if you're able to put a player on cameras and just watch those flanks as one player alone, it is a good way to delay some of those flanks and potentially even get some free picks from those flanks from those unsuspecting flanking defenders. But instead, they elect to bring out the gridlock, which I do also like because it's a passive form of flank watch. You're able to just throw those stingers away and have your gun up and ready to go. And that's what Outlast really needs. They need to be able to take these gunfights against Homeland. If they're able to take these gunfights and win, and they're bringing those LMGs to hold those angles, because as you saw early on in the round, you saw Snipey just really running away, taking a bunch of gunfights as they got out of the top of the mezzanine. And if Outlast are able to take advantage of that and just hold angles with LMGs and not have to reload, they're able to cut down a lot of defenders, and that's exactly what they tried to do. Just didn't quite work into the best form they were expecting.
Well, the exothermic there opening the wall into the office. Now one being directed over towards the kitchen. Couple of grenades sailing in right there as well, presumably to try and deny anything coming in to shut that down. It will go off. The smoke grenade there from Kiru immediately deployed to slow him down. It's got the shield here as well to hold this position just behind that ledge. Nightmare getting the flash in. Falls back. Snipey very low health on the top deck, just waiting. Gone 6 there, used to deal with the shield. Now comes another frag grenade over the top. The ADS system down, well placed, and that's the smoke done and dusted. And that might actually open up the opportunity to get a plant here on Dining Room.
Good lob of the grenade comes through, but it's Cohen with a quick response on the castle, knocks down the man carrying the diffuser himself, Angel. And look at the good positioning of these yokai drones. They're set up for Outlast to go for this plant. Snipey with 2 huge kills on the upstairs completely denies the upstairs attempt of a push, and now that forces Nightmare to push all the way deep. Rival takes down Spunsec and now goes for the second finish on a Nightmare, and a just complete lockout of the defense. Homeland shuts down Outlast attack yet again.
Again, I mean, they had a lot of the right ideas. They were making a lot of the right moves there. Good use of the Gon 6, good use of the grenades, good use of the exothermics, and then it just all kind of flipped and didn't go well. And that's been sort of the storyline for a lot of these Outlast initial moves versus the end state. Interesting to note, by the way, that Outlast is avoiding picking the Thatcher here, which is something that our producer noted. I noted it as well. It's a strange choice, right? Because Thatcher is such a strong operator. There's a reason he's banned all the time, but maybe it plays to the fact that because he is banned all the time, some teams just aren't comfortable playing with a Thatcher in their lineup because you never get to play him. You don't really know how to use him. And I think we might be seeing a little bit of that sort of paralysis affecting Outlast right now, because there's no way that a Thatcher wouldn't have been useful for them in the last round, and well, for this round as well.
Definitely, those EMP grenades are so strong for eliminating utility so much faster. On a map like Chalet, where really defenses bank on having that utility still up, it makes it difficult to hold on to site when you just lose all those ADSs that fast, because the EMP blast completely knocks those EMP or those ADSs for what, 15, 20 seconds right? So that's how strong Thatcher is. But just like you were saying, Corbec, since Thatcher is banned so often, it might just throw Outlast off their game to actually bring that operator. Instead, they're electing to bring the Gridlock. They're electing to bring the Jackal. Some of those operators meant for the roam clear or the flank watch, but it doesn't matter if you have a flank watch if they're just dead, because Hidoy has been eliminated off the board early on this round.
I got to admit, oh boy, a Spud Sack gets taken out as well. There goes some frag grenades. Tomato at least salvaging a little bit of the honor here for the Outlast side by managing to pick up a kill in the opposite direction. But he now has to face the gun of Rival, who, if you're any good at reading numbers, what's that scoreline say there, Klimpse? 12-1. I think
it's crazy. I mean, Rival is just going insane this game, and just as we're talking about it, picks up their 13th kill of this map. Has only died once. I mean, Rival has just been a complete rock for the side of Homeland, and he's not looking to slow down. Look at just the mechanical prowess and skill. Look at just a little bit too much flexing for me, okay? I don't like to see there's a player running outside. I mean, it's complete madness and chaos in Outlast. If you're playing right now, you should be offended that this is happening to you. Nightmare, you can't lose any of these fights. I mean, you know exactly where all these players are. Instead, he's fighting for his life and ends up losing it. Rival picking up their 14th kill of the round. The smoke player actually getting the down on the shotgun and the finish by the Oryx, so the kill will not go to Rival, but rather to the smoke player. But still, I mean, Outlast, you have to be almost mortified. The mental game has to be so weak right now because Homeland is just running all over you.
Yeah, 14-1 is rough. I must admit, it's interesting. Nightmare there in the chat saying it was a nightmare. So at least they're not. At least he's able to be lighthearted about it. At least that's what I hope it was, because that was kind of a nightmare. I think there are probably very many Siege players who would be very scared of the idea of having to take a 1v4 with a team that's much better than you, live cast, for dozens of people to watch as you desperately struggle to do something in a situation where, let's be honest, there's not a lot you can do. It's very much just covered by guns everywhere you look. So unfortunate indeed for Nightmare right there. And Homeland now pushing this on to match point, Klimpse, and I feel like we're looking at a potential 2-0 overall here in the near future.
And hopping right in the cafe, which is Homeland's map pick, and I've seen them just decimate and obliterate teams on that map. So it's scary to see that Outlast could be going there and to meet their grave. Homeland obviously trying to just, finish out these maps as fast as possible. Kira with an aggressive spawn peek here, trying to knock down Nightmare, the last player alive last round, and it does so exactly that. Kiryu achieves that kill using a suppressor even. I mean, showing off what next season is going to look like, because suppressors are going to be super strong next season. In case you don't know, suppressors are losing the damage drop off nerf that they have. So suppressors are going to be so strong because you don't know exactly where you're getting shot from. You don't go with those tracers that show where those bullets are coming from. But I mean, Homeland has just made their territory the entire inside of the building of Chalet. It doesn't seem like Outlast even wants to enter the building. I mean, look, you've got Hidoy staring at the wall of garage, expecting Snipey to run out or an impact grenade to go in the garage. And Outlast just seems like they have no idea what they want to do because they've entered the domain of Homeland. Kiru on for his second kill now on a Tomato, and it's just completely falling apart as Kiru finds a third, now a fourth onto the Lion in top solar area, but it's all left to Angel, who's on the roof for their team. The mental has completely been eviscerated. Kiru wants to close it out with an ace. He said, Rival, you're not going to be the only player with double-digit kills. I want to join you. It does exactly that. Angel does find a couple kills as some of the discipline and prowess leaves the side of Homeland, but instead, Rival able to take down the last player of Outlast in a great way to close out map number 2.
Denied the ace. Whew. Unfortunate. Right there, but a very, very solid performance on Chalet right there from Homeland. Say what you want. I said it at the beginning. There was a reason that Homeland had probably been avoiding Chalet across the board, but man, did they come in and make a statement right there. I mean, you feel for Outlast in this situation because there just doesn't seem to be anything they can do to cut this absolute Gordian knot that they're faced with here.
It's rough. It is really rough. I mean, the original team that came into this season, Super Light, now known as Homeland, was not a team that everyone knew exactly who they were, but I think they're making their name known this season.
say
and
that's fair.
definitely in this grand finals match. I mean, the round count is 14-4, Corbec. That's pretty damn impressive for grand finals. They haven't dropped a map. They've never even been brought to overtime. And they're just showing their complete dominance right now. And they're monkeying about, really. I mean, let's just talk about how they're running outside. You know, they're showing how good of a team they are, and they're still getting those kills even when they're outside the building. They don't even have to be inside. It's just incredible to see. And we're going to see it again on Cafe. We're going to see map 3 coming up in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
Woke up and just felt right. Phone blown like a tailpipe. Today's schedule airtight. I turn a short day into a long night. See you soon if you got the heart. Meet you outside Rennie Park. Hurry up if it's getting dark. We don't say much and that says a lot. Hop into that old bands. Drive through that road ends. Good time with some old friends. I got just a thing if you so tense. Burn one, let's go do some. She got me stoned as Medusa. Zoned out with a blank stare. I'm looking into the future. Hold up, ain't nothing gonna hold us. Put the devil to the side. Got an angel on my shoulder. And I'm like, hello, it's good to finally let go. I ain't worried about a thing. I just like to keep it mellow. Yeah, I like to keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. And I'm bored again. When that 40 in, when that dream team all played out and they hit the bench, I just step back, let me soak it in. I seen the ups and downs, so I get it in. I was born to win. It's my time, about time, my turn, I can't lie. Waiting for that one spark, my one hope to catch fire. I'm fine, I'm high, like rain through that sunshine. Trying to man this is so bold. I'm the captain now when it's crunch time. I don't care if I'm getting paid. Need the week, but I get the day. Wide awake when I need sleep. I'm knee deep, but I set the way. Focused on that one mistake. Let it free, don't let it break. Fuck it all, I'm turning in. My cellies off, the great escape. Hold up, ain't nothing gonna hold us. Put the devil to the side. Got an angel on my shoulder. And I'm like, hello, it's good to finally let go. I ain't worried about a thing. I just like to keep it mellow. Yeah, I like to keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. Every day I keep it mellow. I smoke and keep it mellow. I drink and keep it mellow. I
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Klimpse, joined by my good friend and co-caster Corbec. We're casting Xenon Gaming Series Grand Finals, but it really hasn't looked like that. It's been pretty lopsided, Corbec. I mean, Homeland has just looked like such a strong team. For a team that didn't even have this organization backing them a week ago, all of a sudden, they look incredible. I mean, they've completely dismantled Outlast, and they've really just shown their dominance overall and some of their prowess that they may end up becoming.
Yeah, it's not been easy going here for Outlast. They are definitely trying to ice skate uphill right now, and Homeland is making every step of the way incredibly difficult. I mean, we've seen a 7-1, then we saw a 7-2. I think I saw at the end Outlast was saying that they were going to go for 7-3 this time. So you know, at least they're being cheerful about it, but it's been nothing but rough. And as we come here into this cafe Klimpse, it's worth pointing out Homeland has played Cafe twice in this playoffs run. They played it in the quarterfinals and they played it in the semifinals. Both times they won. It was a 7-0 and a 7-4 respectively. So this is a map where they feel perfectly at home. I don't think that bodes particularly well for Outlast chances.
Definitely not. Outlast is just gonna struggle, I think, on this map. The Finka going off the board, not a surprise. I mean, Snipey really popped off last map, and that's exactly what Outlast is like. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want that anymore.
No.
But guess who's still probably going to remain on the board? I bet you Thatcher's still going to be up. I bet you Homeland is still going to use that nice little utility in their back pocket, completely destroy all of Outlast utility with it, because their coordination with their burn and clear is so amazing. And so to see that come through on Cafe is definitely going to be the case, as Flores does find their way off the board. An operator that Homeland loves to get rid of. They do not like seeing that Flores on the board. And you know what? Good for them. I like to see teams really take skill to clear out utility instead of drive a drone. I mean, you got to be pretty skillful to drive that little Rotero drone, but you get 4 of them, and that's a lot of utility to get cleared. So instead, let's see nades, let's see stun grenades go through, and that's exactly what Homeland likes to do.
Well, hopefully Outlast doesn't kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit like they did last time. Azami, okay, that's a fair ban. I mean, I was thinking back to when they kind of banned Wamai on Chalet, and honestly, I think that only did them a disservice in the long run. Again, it is worth pointing out that Cafe, not only a map that Homeland is good on, but obviously their map pick as well here. So though they are starting off on the attack, Outlast does have maybe that little bit of a niche advantage being on the defense, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to sort of outweigh what is about to be delivered onto them here. Starting on kitchen service, kitchen cooking, hey, fair choice. A lot of people, they'll take that 3rd floor start instead, Klimpse, but perfectly serviceable site. They're interchangeable in my mind.
Yeah, both sites definitely are, you know, you could really go either way, and it depends on how you like to set up and get this defense going. Obviously, Outlast, I've seen them play this map before. They like their VIP extension. They've got that rotation hole. They're going to go reinforce the garage walls. They're going to have a shield in VIP. They're going to do all those basic things, but what is that going to do to stop Homeland? I see my little eye, a yellow operator with a flashy and a shield, and I see some creativity coming from Homeland right now, because I bet you they're just going to bust right through the reception door and just cause hell for any of those players nearby. You see Cohen with the pre-placed drone over in that location, and should Outlast be too far away from the bomb site, they may not be able to help their friends out here.
Bakery push, maybe? I'm curious, you know, to see how they bring Blitz to bear. That's a flex if ever there was one, to bring out that particular German operator right there, but he is what he is. And then you'll see a little bit of an advance here up on the top floor. So not entirely enslaving themselves to the rush, though certainly the tools being put into place here to execute something of that banner. Rival, who had the absolutely obscene scoreline over on Chalet, I think died once overall. Now back into it. Here comes Fluce, still the backup in the form of Kiru. I think got murked almost immediately, and Fluce doesn't last much longer. So whatever chicanery was being played with down there in the bakery absolutely falls flat, and it's down to the 3 operators entering on the 3rd floor.
And it all came down to a drone not finding out the utility placed by the defender. Spudsack put down one of those Banshees from Malusi, and that's what slowed down the Blitz. The Blitz was not able to run exactly as they wanted to. It was more of like a slow, leisurely walk over towards the Echo, and instead attempting to ADS and take that fight was not the right play. Angel hitting 2 great shots, good headshots onto those attackers, completely eliminates and stalls out that bakery push, and now Homeland on the back foot have to work out their vertical pressure and play here.
Snipey there trying to, well, snipe. Tiny little shot there through the banister. Gonna go ahead and do some creative redecoration here on the top floor, and Rival, the other part of the Property Brothers here on the top deck, jumping in as well, bringing that sledge to bear, opening up more holes. Still has 2 frag grenades to pull from here as well. You see Cohen there making a couple of runs, just, again, trying to make life difficult. And despite it being a 3v5, you do get the feeling that all momentum is being surrendered here to the members of Homeland, who run into that Banshee Nightmare now in the prime position to deal with the push that is coming forward. Though Spudsack does have a long sight line. Instead, though, it's Tomato who dies. Rival gets that frag grenade sailing in. Still a 3v4, though, with about 45 seconds left on the clock.
Grenade clears out that player behind the freezer window, and now it's time for the attack to work on this VIP shield, and that's exactly what you see as a nade comes through, but it's sucked up by the Womai disc, and that allows for that shield to remain standing just for a little bit longer. And now Homeland are just going to have to take a brute force gunfight against the Womai, and they actually end up winning it out. Spudsack not able to help out his teammate from the VIP reception door, and now it's a quick retreat for Outlast to try to hold on to the bomb site for just a little bit longer. Snipey here on a very aggressive push, attempts to peek with the launcher, but no, it's actually Spudsack who wins out that swing fight. You should have had your gun out. Now Rival here taking a couple fights, finds the Malusi rotating out, but not able to hit the shots. Now having to cover for their teammate, but Angel on the retake, and now Cohen planting a diffuser, not able to stick it out, and Outlast taking the first round of Cafe.
Well, I mean, I'll say this in regards to this round that we just saw right there. It is a little bit of like play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I mean, I still don't understand exactly what they were attempting to cook up there when they pushed into Bakery with just 2 people. Clearly, it didn't work. It immediately put them at a 3v5. Homeland obviously played very well coming out of that 3v5. They nearly won it out, but it just wasn't enough. And you know what? Some genuinely good defense there from Outlast. They resisted the urge to get hyper aggressive. They resisted the urge to swing things that they shouldn't be swinging. They fell back. They used utility. They forced Homeland to come to them. Solid effort there on the defensive side.
Finally, exactly what you want to see if you are trying to want Outlast to win this match. I mean, Outlast have just looked on the back foot, but finally netting the first round. Maybe a little bit of lack of discipline from Homeland coming through there. Obviously, a little bit of silliness coming through, rushing Bakery, and it didn't quite work out. They missed drilling the Banshee on the wall, and that, I think, is what the fatal flaw of them was that round, but it doesn't mean to count Homeland out. I mean, 1 round loss. I mean, Outlast is going for 3 rounds, so if they get that, at least they've achieved their little goal, but they're trying to get as many as possible. A full reinforcement of not only the freezer wall, but the bathroom wall as well is different for what we typically see on Cafe. This is like old school Cafe, where you reinforce all the bathroom walls, you reinforce the red walls, you reinforce all the freezer walls, you put a shield in Pixel, and you play that position. This is very old school of Outlast to go to. And I like that type of anchoring defense almost because it forces Homeland to really take those gunfights inside of the bomb site. And it means Outlast can't peek aggressively. They can't peek in a, for lack of a better word, stupidly. They can't do these dumb peeks that they end up losing the fights on the windows, because that's what a lot of the early rounds of Cafe are. Early round, you have those players on the windows, and then if you peek as a defender into a player upside down on a window, it's a real hard fight to win. So instead, reinforcing all those walls, those angles, just eliminates the potential for Outlast to potentially do that.
It sure does, and unfortunately, though, Homeland already making their way in and setting up some difficult angles of their own, looking over towards that 90 shield. Snipey being very bold with the positioning right there, if we're being honest with ourselves. Don't know how comfortable I am with that particular spot, but it looks like it's succeeded in at least getting the shield down, and sure enough, 90 is open. Kiro on the lead, absolutely whacks Spudsack, who comes creeping around the corner and gets his head blown off for the trouble. Nightmare now playing in that anchor position down the end of the hallway. The first frag grenade comes sailing by. Nightmare tries to peek out, and it's Kiro again. Kiro happy to collect these kills down White Corridor. Throws one more frag grenade just for good measure, but it's Hidoi who gets in on the action. Now Tomato trying to come in and get one. Won't find it. Two more kills in the bank, and there's the final one. Kiro wraps it up.
Stop peeking that, man. Outlast. Kiro shuts down Outlast entirely with the ARX in hand and completely dismantles every single defender but one. Rival did clean up the final player, but a great round from Homeland, the entry player of Kiro, to really just find every single player of Outlast on the board, and that completely eviscerated that defense. And that's why you don't reinforce all those walls, guys, is because it allows for the attack rather to get so much early control, and especially if you lose those bodies in those kind of dumb ways, not expecting so much early pressure, which Homeland has been doing you all game, Outlast, then yeah, you're gonna lose, and especially at the hot-handed barrel of Kiro.
It's worth pointing out, it's not even just like the peeking, right? It's the manner in which the peaks are occurring, like the slow crouch walk around the corner. You can't be doing that against this Homeland side. They're too good. They're literally too good. They will pick up on it. They will punish it. It won't matter. You're not going to get a kill that way against these guys. The reflex test is, I think, almost always going to go in Homeland's favor. A little bit of a change of the defensive setup. It looks as though they've heard your pleas here, Klimpse, because they are leaving holes now that they can defend a little bit more adequately.
The freezer wall and the trash wall both opened up, allowing for more angles to be held by the defense, and that's exactly what you need if you are Outlast. You need to be able to slow down Homeland's pressure and roll on into Piano. Kiro was able to freely rappel into the windows of Piano. That's not what you want on Cafe. You don't want that much control given up. Outlast did ban out the Azami, so the typical Pro League setups that we've seen lately, especially at the Berlin Major, where you saw the Azami throw in their Kiba barriers onto the different couches, allowing for a lot of new defensive positions to be played, is not entirely possible. Instead, you have to play much more typical Cafe prior to Azami being implemented into the competition pool, and that's a nice sign to see, at least a little bit of old school Siege, a little bit older style Siege, rather than some of the new styles. So good creative intuition, at least by Outlast, to cause teams to go back maybe to their old roots.
Oh, Kiro goes ahead and kills Angel right there through the
He
hole
doesn't
in
care.
the trash wall. Does not care in the slightest. Tomato there blasting shotgun shells towards the doorway of White over towards 90. Instead, though, Nightmare, early kill. Kiro taken down. The Nitro cell from below, well, that'll even it up at a 4-4. Hidoi now in position to be peeking corners. Hidoi gets wasted by Rival. Rival, in turn, is shot down by Spudstack. An absolute bloodbath here on the top floor of this cafe.
Sophia is stuck all the way behind the defense, and I'm not sure if the defense is actually aware of it. Snipey with a bad decision to sprint, though, ends up giving his position away, but Spudsack loses the fight. Tomato now left alone on the bomb site as Nightmare has found themselves downstairs, attempting to retake up the white stairs, but being held out by multiple different attackers on their positioning, but actually gets two downs here and left with the M590. Tries to get the kill, but no one's the top ropes, jumps over the white stairs banister and knocks down that mute. The savior for Homeland nets them their second round.
It was so close. It was so close.
Wow.
That was a good effort, and by the way, to come back up and secure those. Unfortunately, Nightmare is just a half a second too slow to realize what was happening. And of course, the plunging attack, which is the deadliest attack in the game, unleashed perfectly right there at the critical moment to go ahead and secure Homeland round number 2. But hey, you know what? Outlast is fighting right here, Klimpse. They are battling back. They've got their dukes up. They're ready to go, and they don't seem like they want to make this easy for Homeland to close this out and take, you know, their $500 victory. They're gonna fight, I think, on this map to the bitter end.
You know what, this map looks at least a little bit better than the last two. We're seeing much closer rounds, Corbec. These rounds are being brought down to 1v1s or 1v2s, so much more doable, much better potential, possibly for Outlast. Maybe a better outcome could come of this map. They've definitely shown that they're much stronger now, going back to the site that they won in the first round of Bakery, going to elect to defend it pretty much the same exact way, kind of what we're expecting, but I don't think that Homeland's going to make that same mistake of running into that Malusi Banshee with the Blitz, so I think it's going to be a little bit different of an outcome maybe than what Outlast might be expecting.
Now, Floof's mounted up here on Thatcher, so yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing the Blitz run in, as it were. Interesting, though, you know, the Thatcher pick, I think, is very sensible here. It gives them a lot of ability to deal with the util that was part of the reason why they kind of struggled here on the last one. You think about them trying to push down the corridor, you know, on the backside of the map, and it was the inability to get rid of the magnets, to get rid of the ADS systems, to take down the shield that really caused the problem right there. Very interesting as well, an adaptation from the previous time they played this site. Homeland is putting almost all of its resources into the top-down clear. They've just extended Snipey out a little bit, I think, to cause some havoc around that, you know, Bakery door, but it's not, you know, there's nothing serious there, right? That's a holding action is what we'd call that. He's just meant to perhaps exploit any vulnerabilities and keep the enemy's attention there while the rest of the squad works their way down.
I think Snipey is waiting for Angel to step out of line right there and try to get him shot down by the cupcake rack potentially in the Bakery. But as we talk about some of the plays going on in the Bakery and maybe some of the shenanigans that Snipey might be trying to pull off, because you still see him just hanging out there looming in the darkness of that Bakery front door, the vertical pressure has started to come through. And I want to talk about Homeland, how fast they entered in the building. I mean, they were all the way upstairs and had the full top floor clear before the 2-minute mark of the round. A little bit of damage does get done to Angel, so Snipey was able to actually knock out some of those Tobies of Angel. It actually does so from prone position on the Bakery door, and now the entry has come through. The ace right behind him of Cohen, able to find their way into Bakery, and now it's a complete pinch effort from Homeland because they're on white stairs, they're above, they're in Bakery. I mean, they've completely boxed Outlast into the bomb site, or potentially just right outside of it.
Wow, that's a patient hunter right there in the form of a Snipey. Was just waiting, and then finally had the opportunity to strike, took it immediately, secured the kill, and has now established control of the Bakery. So this gives yet another angle here for Homeland to flex in. Feels a bit rough for Nightmare, who's over on that backside towards Freezer Wall, trying to hold it together. Great kill, though, from Hidoy. Pops up behind Whiskey, SMG-11, snorts, and there goes Kiru. So they're keeping it together. Snipey, though, continuing to push forward here. LMGE in hand. It will avail them not in the face of Tomatoes. SMG-11. Good kill there from the smoke player. Now a 2v3 situation. 20 seconds left on the clock. Rival checking down from red stairs, looking across, but it's the plant that's coming down here from Floose, and this is problematic. I don't think Outlast is aware that that diffuser is going down. Too late again with the smoke grenade. We've seen this bit of tape before, actually, on Chalet, where the canister comes half a second too late to deny the plant. Now Floose has fallen back to a long-range defensive position, and in fact, it's interesting, the crossfire abandoned here by Rival is actually falling back. 25 seconds left on the diffuser.
Diffuser has gone down. There's not a lot of time left to be made of it. Floofs from outside the Bakery door is able to get that frag, and now Rival has the vertical control, has distracted enough of the attack, or the defense rather. Floofs now making their entry back in as they see these defenders make their way in, and it's just not enough. Too little, too late. Floofs with an amazing play to rotate all the way around the Bakery into the small Bakery now, and finds those last two defenders of Outlast lurking, and it's a Homeland round that just shouldn't have happened because of poor smoke grenade play. I gotta blame Tomato on that one because the gas grenades, he had 3 in pocket there at the last couple seconds of the round, but instead of throwing them out, instead of trying to stop that plant from going down, it was too little too late, and that attacker was barely able to get that bomb down, and not only do that, but net all 3 final kills.
Oh, great post plant play. You know, I think that's actually the biggest takeaway for me right there, Klimpse. Really, really solid post plant play from Homeland. They did all the things right. And again, I mean, it's so unfortunate because Outlast, Tomato has played that smoke pretty solid right across most of these maps. Not been effective on the kills. Generally, though, has been using the utility well. That's twice, however, that they have failed to get those smoke canisters off in adequate time to deny a plant. And if you're going to be playing that anchor role, you just can't afford to be making mistakes like that because that puts you into the post-plant situation. It completely flips the script, and now you're pushing into the guns of Homeland, not the other way around. And, well, unfortunately, that's exactly what we saw go down there.
It's exactly what Homeland wants to see because they want to rotate. They like that post plant. They thrive in that environment. That's exactly what you saw. I mean, just incredible play from Floof. So what a big brain IQ play, right? To lure the defenders outside the bakery, waste so much time, and allowed for Rival to go upstairs and sledgehammer that floor a little bit more and get some good angles onto the diffuser. And it was just an unwinnable round at that point because Homeland rotated so perfectly and flawlessly. I mean, it's incredible Siege to watch them play because they're so fluid and so smart on the transitions. It's really just different. It's not something you see every day.
Honestly, if you're a team, you're an aspiring player, you know, you're trying to go through post-plant situations at this level of gameplay, that's a really good one to watch. So the instinctual reaction, by the way, of Floofs to hop back into small bakery was so good. I don't know how that call came through, whether they had a drone or something, but absolutely top-notch. Anyway, okay, round number 5, here it comes. Kiru trying to burst their way through the wire. They're smacking it around, but not down quite yet. Instead, it's Rival who actually takes a nasty hit early on, and this will allow them to open up part of the wall. That's not a particularly great prospect here. And Kiru, they're just going to sit on the 90-degree, look in the opposite direction. Oh, Tomato forces the issue and shotgun point blank into the chest of Kiru. We'll take that Iana off the board. Spudsack, not to be outdone, gets back into it, but Rival there, as always, with the trade. Rival annihilates Tomato. One good turn does not deserve another there for the poor anchor player, and that leaves 3-2 here in favor of Homeland.
Homeland has control of the bomb site, but does it matter because Nightmare from below is in the heads of Homeland, in their sleep, in their dreams, able to knock down that player with the C4. Rival able to get a 4th kill on the round. Floofs, or I'm sorry, rather there's 3 for Rival, but Floofs and Snipey picking up the last couple defenders, one of them being down in their position, but another just strong and dominant round for Homeland. Sure, you lost your opening pick. Sure, it didn't work out quite well because you were down in a 3v5, but it doesn't matter because you have Rival who just pulls it back from dead. I mean, the depths of hell. Rival just getting these incredible shots off, and it's just, Homeland's running away with this one right now.
Ever play any fighting games, Klimpse? FGC stuff? You know the concept of punish. You know, when you just absolutely beat the living heck out of someone when they make a mistake. That's what Homeland has really been good at in this match across all 3 of these maps. I'm thinking specifically of Tomato, right? Just crossing that sight line up there by the top of White Corridor in the bathroom. It just was punished immediately. There was a player in position. They were looking for it. As soon as the mistake was made, no mercy, Homeland snaps to it. They are so good at exploiting the vulnerabilities in this Outlast side that they really, really can turn situations around on a dime if they have the opening. It's quite impressive, and Outlast hasn't really shown the capacity for that. They've not shown, in this match at least, the flexibility to respond to Homeland sort of flipping the script on them. And I think that round, again, illustrated it pretty well. You had a brief moment of Outland success. Suddenly, Homeland on the attack again, and Outlast just cannot, adapt to the situation that was being given to them.
Well, it's 4-1 yet again. But look at this team play. I mean, this is awesome to see. Kiru actually netting the kill on a Nightmare through the wall, potentially knocking down the mute But I love seeing little things like that. Kiryu punches the barricade. Snipey's ready with the gun up, trying to get those picks. Instead, it works out in Kiryu's favor. But that's awesome team play, right? Like, what teams do that? There's not a lot of teams. That's a special type of team right there that can do things like that can work together that well, that strongly. An aggressive play and potentially aggressive swing from Tomato is not going to come through. Instead, it's actually Kiryu who's made a very quick entry all the way to bathroom. And if the defenders don't know about this, it may just punish them. Instead, it's a good trade kill. Split second with a knockdown. Kiryu just barely sniping with good info on this potential player hanging out in the pillar area, but instead it's Tomato on an aggressive swing, and the defense is looking to bring it to the attack now. Sniping shuts down Hidoy, and Tomato upstairs all alone on their lonesome as Angel has found their way back into the bomb site. Tomato needs to try to make something happen here. Has found one of those attackers and does so, but tries to sprint back to coverage. Instead, it's a defender waiting for him, or rather the Zofia of Snipey waiting in the open arms for Tomato. And Angel now left all alone in a 1v3, has done it many times this season, but on just half HP, just under that. Will they be able to do it? No, it's Cohen, the hard support player, still hanging out upstairs. Instead of dropping and taking the fight, screw it, I want that kill. And that's exactly what Cohen says to net Homeland their 5th round.
Unfortunate right there. The reflex test again being delivered unto Outlast, and they're just not able to reach the bar that Homeland is setting. We've seen a couple of situations like that across this match tonight, and now 5-1 here going into round 7 on Cafe. Looks like Homeland is cleared to land here. You know, go ahead and collect your $500. Do not pass. Go. I'm not going to rule out the potential that Outlast is, you know, going to battle their way back into this somehow. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be a snowy day in hell before they're actually managing to tie this one up. And again, I do want to reiterate, I feel a bit bad. I feel like you and me, Klimpse, we've been, you know, Outlast has been getting beat, and we've had nothing but kind of negative things to say about them. I think that this is not an Outlast unique problem. I said this on Chalet as well. Put most teams of this level in the same position as Outlast against the way this Homeland squad is playing, and I think you would see about the same results. It's not an Outlast problem. It's a Homeland skill issue, really. They're just a little too good here, and that's the way it is sometimes.
Homeland is that good. I mean, they have completely eviscerated the competition all season. They haven't dropped a map. The only team that ever brought them to max rounds, round 12, is Outlast, and they're in the grand finals. So, I mean, are we surprised that Homeland is just doing this good? Homeland 2-0'd Outlast, and now they're looking to one-up their performance from last week. They're looking to 3-0 Outlast. And I wouldn't be quite surprised if we did see that. Villa would be the last map, and that's where Outlast did take multiple rounds off of Homeland. But Homeland looks so prepared, so fresh. Obviously, not having a game for a full week really does you wonders, whereas Outlast actually ended up having their game last night where they had a 20-round fiasco. But I don't think we're going to see anything like that because Homeland has looked so strong. Outlast is a really good team, and I don't want to harp on them that bad. I've got some buddies on that roster. I've played against them before in competitive, whether it was scrims or a league, whatever. But man, they have been completely shut out by Homeland, and Homeland just looks so good. And as I'm talking about Homeland, Snipey does get down, but is in a recoverable position. They're under the hatch going into the dining room, and one of their players may just look to go on a recovery mission, a rescue mission, if you will, for that Jaeger.
Snipey lost his toes right there, I think is what happened. By the way, Kiryu waiting just at the bakery door. One can only imagine why you would put in a Rooney there. And hey, it was executed perfectly. Kiryu runs out, puts a couple of DMR rounds into the back of Tomato, and that's that. Now it's a 5v4. Very well done. Spud Sack here dropping in, and he's dead. And everybody else is dead with him. He was the Psycho Palm for the rest of the team. They all jumped in. They all died. Now it's just Nightmare standing out here in the cold. There is no hope, and the Wolves are undoubtedly coming to finish the job.
Homeland, you're on match
Kiryu.
point now as Kiryu takes out that final player, jumping out the window of the cafe piano area. And wow, I mean, it's just been utter domination for Homeland. They've completely eviscerated the Outlast roster in the grand finals. I mean, you might not even see Outlast next week, the way that the performance of Homeland is going, because it's just been so utterly dominant from Homeland. It's incredible to watch the amount of information, the aggression, the skill. Everything is outmatching Outlast right now. The initial picks, the bans, I think, even were outsmarting Outlast. And that's a big problem if you're Outlast. And Outlast is now on attack on Cafe, which is just difficult, especially against such an aggressive roster like Homeland. They're wanting to close this out as fast as possible. Maybe they got school tomorrow. They probably do, so they might want to go to bed before 10. Maybe they got some bedtimes, and that's what Homeland is trying to achieve right now. Get to bed before 10, before mom comes up and yells at you, you know, you want your cookies for the next day or something like that. Who knows? Right, but Homeland has just looked so utterly dominant, and congrats to them should they close out this final round here.
They close it out. You never know. Outlast could spoil it for another round or two. Try and get the mystical 3 of which they spoke, and we'll see. I do think one interesting aspect of Homeland's play is that it's, you know, we haven't seen a lot of crazy stuff out of them here. It's not like they've been running particularly ridiculous strats, though they're all running out here right now. Not all of them, but at least one of them ran out right there. But yeah, we haven't seen particularly crazy strats. I mean, it's been pretty just by the books siege, like just doing the right things, getting the trades, setting the right positions. And here comes Hero on the run out again. Ha-ha! Nightmare was waiting for it that time, though, and will secure the kill. Fool me. What was that, like, 5th or 6th time? Shame on me. Fool me the 7th time. Shame on you, as it were. But yeah, it's been nice to see Homeland play just, you know, pretty solid, straightforward siege. They know what's up, and they do what they have to do. Oh, Tomato getting wise to the tricks. No prone kills this time either. Unfortunately, not wise enough to dodge the SMG-11 round.
Tomato on the Roman. Every single player of Homeland is running around the map right now just for free. Floofs is able to knock down Spudside, and that's another player that falls for Outlast.
Well, it's a 3-3 though. I mean, even across the board, an even chance, as it were. Floofs is down, so 2-3. Hidoi there, picking up the kill. Is that the SMG that Hidoi was using as well? That's alrighty. Now it's Cohen here, creeping up on the freezer stairs, and Nightmare is in a good position as well here to actually support kind of his push from above. He might actually be able to catch Cohen out looking if they play this right. Instead, though, Rivals on the other side will manage to take Angel out. So a 2-2 now left here with about 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Well, Rival is lurking in the dining room. The fireplace hall is where the Vigil sits. And should they not scan him, exactly what's going to happen right now. Hidoi going to find that Vigil, but the Vigil takes the swing and wins it for Rival. And Rival takes the last kill. Homeland, they've been a team that's been so dominant through Xenon Gaming Series Season 3. They haven't dropped a map, and they show that prowess in grand finals. Homeland taking so many rounds in this grand final match. Not even 2 hours through, all 3 maps have completed, and Homeland are your Xenon Gaming Series Season 3 champions.
Well, there you have it, Klimpse. I mean, it's the tail of the tape, pretty much across the board. My heart aches a little bit for Outlast right there. Nobody wants to see a team that, you know, going through that kind of an ordeal, right, live on camera. But that is just what happens sometimes. I think it would be very hard for anyone to say that Homeland didn't deserve that win. They fought so well. They played such good siege tonight. Outlast, no answers. Homeland, the clear victors, and a well-deserved win at that.
Homeland shows that they deserve to be in some of the best leagues in T3 and amateur competitive siege. And I think that really showed tonight. Outlast is no slouch of a roster. Those players have played siege competitively for so long, but let's not dwell on, you know, what Outlast did, because they were struggling. It was a rough night. They knew their opponents were tough in hand, and that's exactly what they got. On the other side, Homeland, beautiful siege played by them. I mean, well done to them. I'm excited to see what they're going to do as some of these other leagues start up, and especially as they continue to grow as players and as a team. I mean, they've been together for years and years already, from what I've heard, but well done to them. Well earned, and congratulations to them. Not dropping a map over a whole
Yeah.
season of a competitive league is incredible. The only time they dropped a map was in qualifiers, and you can tell they've grown a lot since then. Even getting an
Yeah.
org, they were known as GPX, they were known as Super Light prior to this. They had, some potential scandalous things going on with them. There were a lot of allegations against this team, but they fought through it all. And now they're on top of the world. They're on top of Xenon Gaming Series at least, and I expect them to be on top of many other leagues. They've been such a strong and fun team to watch throughout this whole season, Corbec.
And a team to watch the future as well. Some definite up and comers right there. Like you said, there are other leagues that they will play in. We'll look forward to seeing it, but we're not quite done with the broadcast yet here on the Xenon Gaming Series. We've got an interview with one of the aforementioned players of those victorious Homeland teams just after this break.
Out of me like words into an empty nation. Please give me the strength I need to remedy this situation. Oh, I've never been better, Encounters oh so queer are sure to cause discomfort. Have you ever been better? In spite of passing fears, you took it down with shallow hopes of getting better. We'll get better. I know you see the fire. You're not alone. They told you fix your broken hearts. You have no. Get up, kid, tell yourself the truth or you'll regret it. Oh, it can only get better. I know tomorrow you can aspire. I'm telling you that you're worthwhile. Just listen to me. I'm telling you that you are better. I know you see the fire. You're not alone. They told you fix your broken hearts. You have no Give me your eye, came close, and I will give you mine. 10 hands aren't close to perfect, but they are yours tonight. You can't rewrite what is inscribed. When all is lost, you will find life. You can't rewrite what is inscribed. When all is lost, you will find. 10 hands aren't close to perfect, but they are yours tonight.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here with the coach of the winning team, Nick Moop. Welcome back to the broadcast. I talked with you a little bit last week after you defeated the same team, Outlast, 2-0, but now winning 3-0 in the grand finals. How are you doing tonight? How do you feel about the result of that game? And is it what you expected?
Yeah, it was about what we expected. I mean, our goal coming into this season, and we achieved the goal, was don't drop a map the entire season. I actually don't think we even went to overtime. I think our max score in any game was 7-4.
Your max score was 7-5, and that was last week
It was
against
7-5.
Outlast.
Oh yeah, we had
And
7-5
that was
on.
on Villa last week.
Yeah, on
But
Villa. Yeah.
that was it. That was the only time you guys were ever brought to max rounds. And let's talk about a little bit about that. Let's delve into some of your guys' goals and stuff throughout the season. I mean, to not want to drop a map, to not even go into overtime against any single team this season, only being brought to round 12 once the entire season through playoffs and everything. How does that make you guys feel? How did you guys achieve that? How did you come to that?
I mean, we do a lot of prep work on the back end. Me and Cohen do a lot of work to make sure, we're prepared. It's a natural team of shooters. We just have to make sure that they're guided in the right direction in order to shoot properly. You know, we have every shooters have their ons and offs for the most part, but it definitely shows who is consistent and who is not, for who you could put at like the elite level versus just the good fragger level. And we definitely have the backbone. I'm gonna say the backbone fragger of our team definitely is Kiru. Always shows up every game, performs out every single game. The kid's always dominant in every single map that he ever plays in. He's insane. I expect great things from him moving into the future.
That's
Definitely
awesome, Nick.
agree.
I gotta ask, because you were talking about this right before we hopped into this interview. Give us a little bit of an insight at how you went about this map sort of strategically from a scouting perspective. You were making some really salient points about how you kind of use the game to your advantage.
Yeah, so with the map pool expanded to 9 maps now, a lot of teams at this caliber of play, by this caliber I mean under CL, so we'll just say T3 and under, generally have a very shallow map pool. There's a bunch of Club Oregon teams that generally back themselves into corners whenever a team comes along that can play the theme park, the bank, the border, the skyscraper. Those teams will always get shot down, and coming in to a game like Outlast, we had our map preparation ready. We're like, okay, so we have map ban advantage. We get a pick and we get a ban before they get a ban. So they're not good at border, we get border for free. We're not great at clubhouse, we get clubhouse out for free. Okay, now what do? Now they're backed into a corner again because they either go with cafe or theme park, both of which they're not great at, and we get the other for free. That's 2 maps out of a series where you need to win 3, where we're pretty much guaranteed to slot in a victory either way. So they'd have to pull out a dominant performance on all other 3 maps if they wanted to take us 3-2.
I mean, very solid thinking right there and good use of strategy, kind of just pre-game strategy almost in order to get that. I feel like so many teams do kind of overlook, right, the effectiveness of the map pool just as an early advantage. Great win tonight. Obviously, you guys didn't drop a map. You've got to feel super happy about it, like Klimpse was saying. What are you looking forward to in the future here with this team? Obviously, you're excited to watch Kiru develop, but just as a general thought, what are your ambitions here with this squad?
We have the short term and we have the long term. Obviously, right now, in terms of just short term leagues, we're in DAL closed. You'll see us there. We're going to play Genesis tomorrow. I'm sure you'll see us there as well. We're gunning for SFCL when it comes back in September. We're hoping that we meet Aerial Academy there because we think that'll be a great showcase.
Oh yeah.
If time permits, we'll be back for season 4 again for this season, and then by the end of January, you'll see us in CL quals.
Right. Well, something to look forward to for sure. I'm excited to watch you guys grow.
Definitely, yeah. Well, Nick, with that being said, as we near the conclusion of Xenon Gaming Series Season 3, any closing remarks for yourself, for your team, any shout-outs, anyone you want to talk about, maybe just a little bit more?
I just have to shout out the entire team. I watched the game tonight. Generally, we have our ups, we have our downs, but tonight was a pretty pinnacle form night, and we're looking to take what we did good tonight and just improve on it towards the future.
Good. Well, congrats to you guys. Congrats to Homeland for winning the league overall. Just a dominant team in this league, and we're excited to hopefully see you guys back for Xenon Gaming Series Season 4. With that being said, it is the end of Season 3, but don't be afraid. I believe the qualifier dates might even already be out for Season 4. If not, they'll definitely be out soon. So, the first qualifier for Xenon Gaming Series is October 7th through 9th. And then is there a second one? The following weekend, the 14th through 16th. So come back for Xenon Gaming Series Season 4. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a bigger prize pool. There's going to be more action to see. With that being said, everyone on the back end, all the staff, everyone that's been here through Xenon Gaming Series, thank you to you guys for having us out. Corbec, thanks for joining me on the desk here for the cast in this league. And obviously, I've had a great time casting this league as well. You'll definitely see me back in those later months of October, as long as our fraudulent producer wants to take me back in. I gotta throw it back in one more time before we close it off. But with that, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.